Hello summoners, welcome back to the channel, and in this video we're going to talk about the top 10 mutant characters in Marvel Contest of Champions. And this is obviously going to be a little bit controversial because mutant class is by far the best. A lot of good characters didn't even make the list. Like, there are characters on this list who if I pull them I would be happy, I would rank them up even, but it's just such a competitive class and we just have 10 slots that they couldn't make it. And that's just my opinion. Like, according to some people, Domino might be the best character in the game. According to some, she might not even be top 15 mutant. So it's not really possible to please everyone. So this is just my list, my opinion, and do let me know yours in the comment section down below. Also, try to give reasons why do you think that particular character should be in the list and stuff like that. But anyways, let's get started. So first character is going to be Havok. Now he has a lot of damage output, a lot of utility. He also has damage over time after, like, if you use your SP1, use the heavy attack, and like there is a pretty decent amount of plasma damage that you can do. You have the massive SP3. The SP2 also is kind of hard. I have used him even in like the Mutant Cavalier difficulty. I have used him in stuff like Alliance War. He is a very versatile attacker in my opinion. There are always going to be situations where he is going to be useful. By the way, speaking of Havok, I recently saw a sweet-ass video of him killing the Thing, Alliance War Thing boss with Stubborn with his Havok, and it was like really close. It was like 1 second left on the timer, and a very good fight, and it just shows the true potential of Havok, that he can basically do a ton of fights, and yeah, that is why he is number 10. Moving on, we have Sunspot and number 9. Some people might be surprised, some people might think that he is top 5 material. Not in my opinion, because he does have damage, and for utility I think he has lower utility than the characters above him in this particular list, but he does have some. It's not like he has no utility. He has perfect blocks, he has incinerate immunity, and really good damage output, prowesses and stuff like that. So he can do stuff like distract very easily because of how much debuffs he would have on the opponent and stuff. He also has really good prestige and very solid character overall. Now moving on, we have Namor. Again, I bet a lot of people will be surprised. The reason like last time I did this video, it was about 4-5 months ago I believe. His awaken ability is very powerful, but it needs, like, he needs a lot. Taking a 6-star character, I have a Sig 40 6-star Namor, and he has great prestige, so that is the reason, like, he has a strong awakened ability and he also has good prestige, so it makes sense to give him mutant signature stones, even generic signature stones. But at the same time, I don't see that many people using him, even people with Sig 200 Namors. I don't see them using him that much outside the occasional cogs in Alliance War maybe. He's a very solid character. Obviously he has a lot of damage. It takes a while to build up the damage. You have to go for like a couple of SP3s, maybe even one SP3 for shorter fights, and then a big SP2, but in longer content where where the ramp up might actually be worth it, there is a damage cap, and yeah, he has some bleeds but not really a big damage over time. Main reason he is in this list is his awakened ability, and it's very powerful obviously, but you need to have him at Sig 200, or in my opinion, or even a high Sig would kind of work, but if like you have a Sig 20 Namor, it just doesn't do that much. Now moving on, we have Strife, who is a very new character. I didn't see anyone talk about Strife in the community post, and the main reason I guess is because he's very new. But I played with him in this content creator program, like being a part of the program. I got him, I tested him out in Labyrinth, in Abyss. He's very powerful even without being a horseman, and if you have him as a horseman, that's a very big benefit. And if you're going to use a character in stuff like Labyrinth or Abyss, it definitely makes sense to make them a horseman if you obviously have Apocalypse. But even again without this synergy, he's very powerful. He is probably the second best character in the game for Abyss of Legends after Aegon. I have done a damage comparison between him and Aegon. It wasn't that big of a difference, to be honest, and he's even better than characters like Sabretooth with the Sasquatch synergy, and he also except the damage, he brings in a lot of utility as well. The shock also has kind of damage over time thing going. The SP2s are where most of his damage does come from. The build up is much faster than Aegon in my opinion. Like you can build him up and solo a base fight basically, which is not something you can do with Aegon. Like he needs 2-3 fights, 4 fights to get to his max potential. And with Strife you basically just have to go to a SP3 4 times and you are going to get to 100 charges, and then after that, if you have made him a horseman, you can go fully unblockable as well, which is kind of cool. But anyways, very strong character, and I'm sure that when he becomes more common, a lot of people will be including him in this list. Now moving on, we have Professor X. Now I don't have this character. I wasn't in the content creator program when he was released, so I didn't get to play with him. And by when he came out, I saw a lot of initial videos. He looked like a cool character, but not as good as he is. After a lot of people talked about him, I've seen a lot of Abyss solos with him. His damage output potential is kind of crazy. It's a high skill cap, I'd say. Probably not something everyone could do, but he has a lot of potential, and that is why he is so high on this list. I don't think he's better than the other characters, but he's a very strong character with massive damage on the SP2, even on the SP1. Like I saw Abyss Luke Cage solo, and he was just spamming, like it was Beroman's video, he was just spamming SP1s, getting a ton of prowesses, refreshing the prowesses and doing massive damage. Again, I haven't played with the character, so I don't really know too much, and I don't want to talk about stuff that I don't know too much about. But if you are a Professor X expert, then do let me know in the comment section down below how good is he in your opinion. Then moving on, we have Apocalypse, and I think if he didn't have the Horseman ability, he would be a lot lower on the list. I don't think he is so good on his own. He's very good on his own, don't get me wrong, but to be on, where have I placed him? Let me see. He is at number 5. So to be a top 5 mutant character, I don't think he's that good on his own. But because pulling Apocalypse is a big deal, you are basically making 3-4 characters really usable, like OG Wolverine, Cable. By the way, we're not including Horsemen because that would just complicate stuff so much more. Because Cable, he deserves to be Horseman. Cable is a top 5 mutant character. And even Horseman Storm is kind of really good. I've used her in Labyrinth, I've tested her in Abyss even, and she can pull her weight. Yeah, there is a lot of shock damage, and even Storm Pyramid X is a really cool character. But anyways, coming to Apocalypse, on his own, solid character, especially with the Strife synergy. He hits really hard, but even without it, he has this huge health pool, great Alliance War attacker. I've seen a lot of people using him in Alliance War, even he gives me Void vibes. He's not the fastest character, but he'll get the job done, and that's, at the end of the day, that's what matters. So that is why he's at number 5. Number 4, we have Omega Red. Now this character, without the doubt, he needs a lot. He needs you to run. He needs him. You need to have him awaken first. You need to have him at a high signature level. Very important. You can see this graph. You need to have him at a high signature level. And you also kind of want to run Suicide Mastery, but if you do all 3, then this is an amazing character. He just melts away everything. He can regenerate as well. He's poison immune. He's he can heal from bleed, even if you don't run Coagulate. He can heal from most bleeds. So very powerful character. He can handle Thorns and stuff like Korgs. So just a lot he can do. Very good Alliance War attacker as well. Kind of also needs a Sabretooth synergy. He doesn't absolutely need it, but if we go down here and see what it exactly does, you can see Omega Red 30% faster rate to inflict death pose and 30% longer duration as well. So ideally, you do want to also bring in Sabretooth synergy. So that's just a lot. Otherwise, if you have all of them, then you can take him 1 rank above. But it's just having him awaken, having him at a high signature level, having Sabretooth and synergy, having Suicide Mastery is that's a lot. And but if you do have all of that, then he's an absolutely amazing character. Then moving on to number 3, my favorite character in the entire game. I rarely enter a quest where I do not have Archangel with me, and the main reason, he's my go-to mutant character, and the main reason for that is that there are not that many bleed immune, poison immune characters in the game. I've done the math, it's 32-33% characters in the game. So and you have 4 characters other than him in a questing team which you can use in those scenarios. Like, we are never going in any content blind. We always, like, even stuff where you can't move around the map, anything like Labyrinth, Abyss, Labyrinth also. So Labyrinth, Abyss, and Act 5 final chapter, where you can't really move the map, you can't see the opponents. But even then, because this community is amazing, we have maps, we know who we are going to be fighting, we can plan ahead and we can bring in other counters for those immune matchups. And anything where you can bleed and poison the opponent, the only matchup that I see where Archangel doesn't work is Cable, and other than that, like, he just melts everything. There are some nodes, obviously, like debuff, immune node, corner, that could be problematic for him, but overall a top 3 mutant character in my opinion. Doesn't matter what masteries you run, just the damage output on its own is ridiculous, and his awakened ability, the massive defensive ability reduction. Like, if you have him at a decent, you don't need him at max sig, if you have him at a decent signature level, 3 neurotoxins and you're basically good to go. It's also a heal block, just a lot he can handle. And like, every time a new character comes out in the game, first thing I check, are they immune to bleed and poison? If they're not, I'm going to use Archangel on the first day, and he's going to solo it most often than not. So that is the reason he's so powerful in my opinion. Top 3 mutant. Kind of weird how he's just getting better and better and better as the game goes on, because when he was released, I remember like Iceman was definitely considered the better character of the two, and now Iceman, I don't think he's even top 15 mutant character. So like, the fact that Archangel now is a top 3 in my opinion again, but in most people, if you ask most people, they would say he's number 5 or number 6, and I don't think anyone has a list where he's not in the top 10. So it's definitely a very powerful, very useful character. A lot of people even use a 4-star version in end-game content. Like, obviously you can't bring him in Act 6, Act 7, but in variants or in some tricky situations where they don't have the perfect counter, you use a full-star Archangel, you won't feel the fight is very long. Like, I personally even used a 4-star Archangel and a 4-star Star-Lord for my first initial clear of Labyrinth of Legends, and he did really well there as well, even though back in the day we didn't have the white Magneto pre-fight. By the way, my white Magneto, great character. I made a mistake. Beast is not a top 10 mutant character, sorry. Instead of switching the tabs, I just clicked this button and it went to Beast because alphabetically is the next. But no, my number 2 mutant is not Beast, sorry. It is actually going to be Colossus. Very versatile character, tons of immunities, very tanky, lot of damage as long as you can parry. If you can't parry, bring in Omega Red, who is again number 4 on the list, or you can also bring in Emma Frost, who is going to be an honorable mention. Very powerful character, brings in a ton to the table, and he's crazy. Like, you can either bring, you can also bring like only Omega Red and he'll still be really good, but he doesn't even need to stun the opponent. On his own, he kind of does need it for the damage output, but like, if you have Omega Red, like, I don't even bother with parry stunning in stuff like Labyrinth of Legends or longer fights. He doesn't need to be awakened. It's a very common question that I get on this channel, but if you do have him awakened, that does help in longer quests. You don't need it at all. Like, you won't even notice it in shorter stuff like your day-to-day questing, but in Labyrinth it will have a pretty big impact, because like, you have a better chance of converting your armor up into a permanent one. I think I can't really read, my webcam cable is going through there, but anyways, it's a very solid character with or without synergies. With synergies, obviously he's very good, probably like Quake Ghost level good, because he gains a lot of power. His attack is crazy. Like, I've seen KD1 stream using him in Labyrinth and Abyss. I think he used him in Abyss, and I've seen him do some crazy stuff. Like, Colossus, very solid character, no matter how you use him. Very tanky as well. You can use him with suicides, not in longer stuff like Labyrinth or Abyss, but in shorter stuff he's alright with suicide, bleed immune as well, so doesn't take that much damage, and first SP2 most likely will finish off the fight, so no recoil either. But now at number 1 it's going to be Magneto. Magneto, after his buff, is just really good. Like, there's the thing that makes him good, because I've made the argument that Magneto, like if you see how many metal characters there are about 30 something% metal characters in the game, but somehow most of the annoying defenders are #metal, which actually, like, it doesn't really matter that 30% only are #metal. It's just the fact that like you use him in Alliance War, most of the characters you see are going to be metal because they are good defenders, and metal characters somehow are good defenders in the game. So that's one thing. And like I think Magneto and Archangel is the best questing couple, because like all the robots are immune to bleed and poison, and you can just use Magneto there, and if they're not immune you can use Archangel there. Like between the two of them, they just cover almost everything in the game. But he also has like perfect block chance, a lot of prowesses. Like if the opponent is bleed immune, SP3 basically just finishes the fight, unless there's like a damage cap or something like that, or the opponent is Colossus who is immune to armor break. But he also has like there's just so much he can do. He just basically, as long as you're fighting a metal opponent, he just shuts down the fight. There's almost no way to die to a #metal fight with Magneto, unless you're just using a 2-star Magneto versus like, I don't know, a variant level fight. Then maybe if you don't get the perfect block you will probably die, but otherwise like he's very solid character. I've seen people even use him in stuff like Abyss, but very useful in stuff like Alliance War. I use him. I think most people who run Path 5, he's just a great attacker for them, because like Darkhawk is really common, Nova is really common, Thor Ragnarok is really common. All of them are #metal characters, and like just very solid character overall. So that is going to be it for my list. Let me go back to Aunt May and mutant characters. So some honorable mentions at the end. Domino, obviously very strong character, especially with the Red Hulk synergy, but even without it, very good. Then we have Cable as a horseman. He is a top 5 mutant in my opinion. I just haven't included horseman characters in the list yet because that would just complicate the list very much. But like if I had an Apocalypse, I have a 6-star Awakened Cable, I would rank 3 him. I think he's that good. And then White Magneto, I love White Magneto, very solid character. Even take away his pre-fight ability, even then very solid character. I think if Red Magneto weren't a thing, White Magneto would be very frequently used, and a lot of people have been sleeping on him because because he's not very, like, he's not in the 5-star basic pool. People not using 4 stars that much, and get him in as a 6-star. And he also kind of need to be, he benefits a lot from his Awakened ability. So yeah, that is kind of unfortunate. Not a lot of people are able to play him at his max potential. Then I was gonna say Old Man Logan, but he's honestly not that good anymore. OG Wolverine as a horseman, very good. Weapon X, very rare character but very good. Storm Perimeter X, extremely powerful character. And then even Iceman can handle a lot of stuff. Emma Frost is one of the most underrated characters in the game in my opinion, but even then I can't really fit her in this top 10 list unfortunately. So that is going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching, have a nice day, like this video, subscribe to the channel, share with your alliance, and stay safe. Have a good one. Bye bye.